Hey guys, how you doing? Shamoy, aka Baby Sham 33 here. So I just hit the last Sentinel boss of Act 6. So there we go. New Cavalier title. And those rewards come in. And so I guess this is the 12,000 unit deal everybody's been talking about for rank 5 in hero. Yeah, that's okay. Close that. And that's it. So no, that's I think I might have to close out and come back in for to see the new crystals. No, that's the same uncollected. Okay, so I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. There it is, the updated Cavalier crystals now. As you see, each Grandmaster's guarantees a 3 with a 4 or 5. And you have the Cavalier crystal that guarantees a 3-star with a rare chance at a 4, 5, or 6-star. I never purchased these, but just for the hell of it, I'm going to get one of them. Just to spin out, you can take a look at the reel. Oh, 6-star domino off the bat, so you know that's what we're not going to get. Like I said, just to see the 6 stars that are actually in here. I'm sure there's some people that have opened a bunch of these and gotten some yet. You know, get that ridiculous luck when it comes to it. That's enough of this. Let's stop it. And it is a 3-star Thor, and that's exactly why I never buy these. For 200 units. Alright. But that was fun. Yeah, no, thank you. But let's talk about the quest quickly. I got it done because, well, one, I had some units, and, you know, fortunately, I do have 5-star roster. That's decent enough to actually do it. You know, honestly, the 4-star thing sucks. I would have loved to have some of those synergies in there. At the same time, you know, if I didn't have certain 5-star champs, this would have been incredibly more difficult than it was. The first chapter, I was able to go in here, and you have Sabretooth as the boss. It really came down to my my duped AA and Void, which is currently in AQ. Was able to get me through this. I took this path here with Electra. It's just you know, unblockable special 1. For this first chapter, it's no retreat. So if you back up, I'm sure you've all seen the videos when you back up. If you dash back twice, you're going to take that degen damage. But you can back up once. You can wait out the timer. Then you can back up again if you need. But basically, you want to back up if you need for spacing, then work in a parry or something like that, or go back in, or just wait that timer. After Electra, I came around here, went Morning Star. For that, I have Blade, Archangel, um, coming down here to Punisher. It's just a Bane node. Ghost, simple, easy fights. And then you're pretty much going to port over, and you have that Saber-tooth fight. That was the when I looked around, that was the easiest pat for me. I will tell you this Archangel though is a bit tricky because has defender has a 50% chance to inflict poison when struck, dealing for 15% of the attacker's max health over 10 seconds. If the attacker has no fury buffs, the defender takes 90% less damage. So I quit and I went back into this fight a few times, just because not reading the note properly. So I had to quit out and start again. I needed Hyperion for that fight because I was doing no damage. I brought in Omega Red because of the. Now I'm not worried about the poison, but without any furies, you're doing absolutely no damage. So like I said, no matter the pat you take, just look around and think what really evaluate the pats for the first clear. Sabertooth, I told you, was AA and Void really did the cleanup damage, for me on that. Factual costs of this whole thing. I went through whatever I had in my stash. I was overflowing on some stuff, and then unit wise, I might have spent 200 units. So not a big deal for the upgraded title. That became worth it. With some way the paths just laid out, I won't be 100% in this anytime soon. I'm in no rush to do that. I just wanted the Cavalier title. This second one, I absolutely hated. Just because of the boss. So came in here and I portaled over to C. You have this first Spider-Man, nothing special about this one. You have Limber. This global node is combo party and special delivery. The attacker begins the fight with 15 combo charges. Each landed basic attack decreases the combo charge by 1. And launching a special attack will reset the charges. If all the charges are removed, they are reset, and the attacker suffers a passive degen equal to 100% of the defender's attack rate in over 4 seconds. So basically, you have to watch the timer come down and make sure that you hit that, before it counts all the way down from the 15, you let off a special attack. This was the path I took. Because I don't have my full danger sense set up, because I don't have a 5-star Ghost Rider, I actually went AA with this fight, so I'm not worried about these specials as much. Then you have this Mordo, Symbiote Supreme, really not a bad fight. Blade, it makes quick work of Mephisto and Dormammu. And then from there, you port over this first Sentinel. He has Biohazard and the Arc Overload. For this fight, I really went with Corvus. Because I'm not worried about, hitting into him and the bleed and so forth. And other than that, you can pretty much kind of work on the damage and get him down without a problem. Like I said, but then again, I have a Corvus. As a 5-star, I'm fortunate enough that way. For those that have him a 6-star too, there are other options. I'm just telling you what I used because of that biohazard. If you've got another bleed immune, another sentinel, there's I'm a 5-star OG vision. Those are good. 5-star OG vision would be a good option. Um, then you have this Ultron. This is the similar Ultron to Act 5, or even in variant, where unfortunately it has digression armor, EMP modification. Whenever the attacker gains a buff, the defender gains an overclock charge, max 10 stacks for each charge. The defender deals 15% energy damage with each strike. The defender's special attacks convert all special into passive shocks. And then at the same time, spiked. While opponents have active buffs, this champion activates Power Flood. So, luckily I have Hulk Ragnarok to kind of combat that shock damage. But at the same time, you're also dealing with, if you dexterity and evade his specials, you're dealing with the Power Flood. I mean, it's just nonstop. Pretty much anything you do, you have that Power Flood. So you're dealing with the Power Flood. You're dealing with the global node, with the special delivery. So you're trying to watch his power meter, and watch out for his evade, and then at the same time, you're dealing with the shock and so forth. And I mean, this one kind of had me tilted going through this fight a few times, to be quite honest. This is one of the more troublesome boss fights. Being very honest, like I said, Thor Ragnarok, some people will just go in there and zerg it down. If you have a Medusan, you can get the armor break up fast. Those are some options, but it's an annoying fight. Like I said, think whatever you did, Act 5 are invariant, but like I said, now unfortunately you have to stick to 5 stars, so we don't have the expanded roster that we might have used then. So like I said, the first two the first two chapters are a little, the first two sections of chapter 1, the first two bosses, they have their own difficulties. The next two sections 3 and 4 really are the easiest to kind of get through for your first clear. The simple path I found, I went down here to Wolverine, Old Man Logan. On this one, the global node is while close to the defender, the attacker gains a weakness debuff every 3 seconds, reducing their attack by 10% permanently. Staying away from the defender causes these weaknesses to fall off gradually. The good thing with this one is if you run willpower, that weakness debuff, you have 1 or 2 of them on you, it's actually going to, give you back health. You can back them off, back off, and it falls off, not a problem. So really no trouble whatsoever. I went OG Vision, I took this path over here. Ant-Man, and so Ant-Man, on this one I was using Blade, Mephisto for the Mystic Synergy, my Spider-Man, AA, and Corvus. Came around here, like I said, pretty easy fights. The thing can be a little bit difficult if you don't remember how to fight him. You want to, if you get up to those 15 rock charges, then you want to bait out the special so they fall off. On this fight, I use Blade just because if you deal a bleed while he's bleed immune, if you deal something that would cause a bleed, it causes those rock charges to fall off. So Blade was the easiest fight. I've seen people do this with Gwenpool, but heroes like that will make thing fight a lot easier. And then Ghost, Limber, True Strike, Aggression, Cruelty. There's really nothing special about this fight, and just no tricks to it. Going into the Loki boss. So for this path, I decided to, and the reason why I did this is during this whole thing, you have these 3000 T2 alpha catalyst fragments around. So, and then I'm using a Corvus. So I took this path here. This global node, by the way, is close encounters. So while close to the defender, attackers regenerate 1% of max health every second, while away from the defender, the attacker degenerates 3% of their max health. So you want to stay as close as possible, but at the same time, to keep that up, to continually get that regen. This Kang here, the first one, has strike back, the increased armor up aspect of evolution. So not a terrible fight whatsoever. You're coming over here to Heimdall, enhanced special 1, spiked armor. So some little trick to it, but not too bad at all. Then you have Bishop, and you have Mephisto. Mephisto actually has the Aggression, Fury, and Fire of Hades. So at the start of the fight, and every 30 seconds, Mephisto activates his Aura Incineration for 10 seconds. So really, if you have a Blade, or if you have a Void, not really a bad fight whatsoever. I'm sure folks could do it with Quake. Those would be good for that. After that, I poured it over here, took out Iron Man, Infinity War, and then went to Loki. Loki is unblockable special 1, dulled, limber, and force of will. Like I said, no real, very easy chapter to get through. The next one is Crossbones. Crossbones is interesting because he does have regeneration, biohazard, and then at the same time, for this chapter, the global buff is you do not skip that. Power struggle. So basically, you don't get any power unless the defender gets a bar of power. When the defender launches his special attack, you lose all your power. So it's basically whomever uses it first. When you're running someone like Corvus and you want to get to that to the S2, it can be a little bit pain because you're really trying to block and trying to keep them from using that power. For this path, I went straight down the middle. I took this first Nightcrawler fight, which was a long fight. The defender, if the attacker hasn't landed a hit in 6 seconds, you begin to degenerate. So you have the brute force. Um, but with the power struggle, basically, you know, he's throwing his attacks, and you're losing power very quickly. At the same time, on this note, he is immune to bleed, and all champion classes but skill reduce their attack by 50%. I'd use Corvus. I'm like, you know what? I could have probably gone in here Blade, but I'm like, I use Corvus because one, I wanted the charge. I could get the charge from him evading, and I could get the charge from him being a mutant hero. Because I know that I'm going to need Corvus for that, for the fight with Crossbones. So I want to get as many charges as possible. It was a very long and slow fight because I'd run out of charges, and then I'm hitting soft, and my attack is already reduced as it is. This Aegon, it's a bit of a pain in the ass because it's already hitting so hard. Carries 100% of his combo meters between fights. Persistent combo increases by 10 every 5 seconds. Then limited immunity. Defender is immune to all debuffs for the first 25 seconds of the fight. So, just based on the rising combo, his combo meter is already going up to 50 within that first 25 seconds of the fight. All specials are unblockable. That's not a problem. So, before you know it, he's hitting very hard, and there's not much that you can do. You have Sentry here, really not a problem. Getting Sentry down. You have Coin Flip on there. That's about it. Vulture, he's just unblockable S1, easy fight. Ghost Rider, he's immune to debuffs. You do have Medusa here. He also has the limited immunity, but also has Aspect of Death. And then just Medusa in general can be a little bit of a pain, but that's basically that. After that, you port over to Crossbones. As I said, Crossbones unfortunately has the power. With the power struggle, you're also going to have the biohazard, vigor, 10% stun chances. Those aren't a problem. It's really the vigor because of that regen, and then the biohazard. I was able to use Corvus, and basically I would beat him down until I run out of charges, and then at that point it's either just to exit out, or if I just kind of go until whatever, either I'm dead, or if I can bait it out, if I can just kind of keep going and get my charges back. But you want to do as much damage as quickly as possible. It's really, if you go through your 20 charges, and then you go through your charges, and then it's like, okay, you might as well exit out and then come back in. So it's going to cost you. But it's one of the best ways. Either that, or if you have Omega Red, then he is very easy to get through. My Omega Red is an AQ, so that wasn't an option. But I was like, okay, well, I have I said, I'm fortunate. I do have some good heroes, so I could do this. But it can get costly if you don't have the right heroes. If you don't review your pats. Just unfortunately what it is. It's why everybody's so upset about how they've done the release for Act 6. And rightfully so. And then the last chapter is against the Sentinel. Um, More than anything else, getting through this chapter is just the paths. One thing about this, it's really so long. They have so many paths. Um, with so many different things to them. The easiest path that I found on this one, I came down. You take out Moon Knight, and then from there, you can also go, if you go straight up the middle, if you can deal with Havoc. You see no nodes. You're gonna go Heimdall, straight up the middle, um, and then from there, you can come around and either go this path. Sorry about that. My battery was low, so recording stopped. But as I was saying, you basically come over here to to this Doctor Strange um, path, and there you have defender has a 50% chance to inflict poison when struck. Um, you know, so you're really going to want to poison immune if you're taking this path. You have the Iceman over here, which is just stun it. These fights over here, you have stun immunity, empowered immunity. Whenever champion would receive a debuff, they are immune to generate 30% of a bar of power. So, um, yeah, slightly bits of pain to fight. The easiest thing to do instead of running that path, once you get here to the middle, you'd come over here and go up against X-23 and Arc Overload, Vigorous Assault, and their recovery. So basically, whenever you know, they have a recovery going, or they're unblockable, but that's kind of easy just to kind of play around with. But this would be kind of like the easiest path. Like I said, I chose a different path just based on my heroes. I took this path over here. I went over to Black Panther. He has sharpened claws, so even when he hits your block, you're going to take bleed damage. Like I said, running a Corvus, or if you're running, somebody like Omega, who, then you it doesn't really matter. They also have armor break immunity, so you can't armor break them. Everyone on this path has that. Killmonger also has sharpened claws. Colossus is a joke of a fight. Just like as a champion, he really needs a buff badly. I said, you run over here, you have the Red Skull. Other than the armor and the first two fights with Killmonger and Black Panther Civil War, it's really not a bad path. Like I said, for me, based on the heroes I had, that was the easiest. The Sentinel here, interesting because based on the hero that you're using, he has different different advantages, except for if you're using Cosmic, then there's no advantage. No advantage. But he is stun immune, and then Plague Mine, and then Fisticuffs. So no champions neither champion can activate buff or debuff for the first 30 seconds of the fight. After that, really isn't too bad. I ended up using Corvus myself, of course. Basically once you run out of charges, it kind of slows it down a little bit. It takes some time, but really not a bad fight, really easy. But was my path to getting the Cavalier. Like I said, I had some time, and fortunately I have the roster to do it. What they did with the 4 stars was really sucked, because it would give you a lot more options and make this a lot easier than it was. Um, who knows how, you know, um, when they do, chapter 2, 3, and 4, how that's going to be. Um, but like I said, for the items I had overflowing and the 200 units I spent for the upgraded rewards, I got through. If you don't have the roster, I don't recommend you, going crazy in there. Um, you know, Play wise. Look over the paths, to see what fits what your team best, and just wish you the best of luck with it. All right, be blessed. Have a good one. Hope you like and subscribe.